Hey there, I'm Celine and welcome back to my channel. In this week's video, we're going to be talking about the very slippery slope that is comparison, and the dangers of it, and my recent experience with the downfall of comparison. And I've just recently very clearly felt the effects of comparison. I've been doing a lot of that just mentally. So that's what's ahead of us today. But I do want to mention that I found this quote by Craig Groeschel, if that's not how you say his name. Apologies, but he said that comparison will either make you feel inferior or superior, and neither honors God. And so with that quote in mind, I think that this video, this is going to be more so geared to those of you who feel that comparison makes you feel inferior. And so I feel like a whole separate topic to talk about those who compare themselves and start to feel superior. That's not really what I'm talking about today. I'm talking about feeling inferior when you compare yourself to others. To start off, I want to talk about the top 3 dangers of comparison. There are, of course, more, but I just wanted to keep it simple and just talk about 3 that I feel like are very big dangers and ones that we should be looking to avoid. So first off, I believe that comparison leads to misalignment and takes your focus away from your relationship with the Lord, because you are focusing more on what you lack, and that will then lead to either anger, resentment, envy, those things that are clearly said are not fruits of the Spirit. And there is a commandment that says, do not covet. And so that is clearly marked as something wrong. So it will take you through misalignment, and then will then lead you into anger, resentment, envy, anxiety, and then finally it's going to take your eyes off, or maybe blur your vision so that you don't recognize the blessings that are in front of you. I have seen those 3 dangers so clearly evident in past seasons in my life where I would compare myself a lot. Like, obviously in high school, I think everybody does that, but in general throughout life, everybody does the comparison thing. But right now, it definitely, I feel the result of me being blind to the blessings that are right in front of me. Maybe I can recognize them, but I don't call myself blessed right now where I am. I'll be in my head, sometimes I'll be like, I will be blessed to have a family of my own one day, and my own house, and my husband and kids, and what a blessing that will be, as if what I have in front of me right now isn't. So these 3 I feel like might be obvious, but I feel like it was important to point those out when talking about the dangers of comparison and what that can lead you into. And to kind of piggyback that, I will share my recent experience that I'm currently still trying to break out of. As you can see, I've been breaking out of a lot of things. Like I've said, it's an odd time, and I feel like lots of things are being stirred up, and just like, I don't know, a lot is changing. So anyhow, my recent experience with comparison, it became a really big thing for me. I think I'm always comparing myself to others. That's just kind of like my personality and human nature is to just compare myself, whether that be looks wise. That hasn't been what I've been struggling with comparison currently, but there are definitely seasons where I struggle with that. Recently it's been that I have had trouble with comparing my life to others, my stage of life to other people who are my same age, you know, friends from high school, or just other people that I follow on the internet, different influencers and things. You know, I'm 21 at the moment, and where I came from, it's kind of a norm for everybody to be married and have a family already. And even all through high school, like all of my friends were in relationships, and it just never happened for me. And I had left where I was after I graduated high school. But you know, their relationships kept progressing eventually into marriage, and I see them starting families now. And it's hard for me to see that. As happy as I am for them, I'm genuinely, truly happy. If you are one of my friends watching this, I am so happy for you. And I look at your pictures and see your videos and things, and I am so genuinely happy for all of them. But it gets to a certain point that I start comparing my place and what I have accomplished, so to say, to what they're doing. And I have very different life circumstances, family circumstances, and so it's really not fair to compare myself to them, because my life has just always looked so different from theirs. Different in a blessed way, but it's definitely hard. Just if you don't divert that energy somewhere else, you know, pouring that energy into growing in your faith, it can start to really take a toll on you. And that is what has happened to me. I started pouring so much attention into like what other people's lives are looking like, and there are so many people announcing pregnancies and engagements and having new babies. I feel like in my life right now, in my sphere, I know so many people who are about to get married, just had a baby, are expecting a baby soon, or just announced pregnancy. It's crazy. And just every single day, you know, there was a new announcement or new pictures. And like I said, I'm not here to say that I'm not happy for all of them. I am definitely so genuinely happy for them, but my mental space had gotten into a point that every time I would see that, I would just tear up, because I was jealous. And that is not a good mind space to be in. And a lot of times it would result in me crying out to the Lord saying, this is happening for everybody else. And it feels like I am so alone, even though I have a couple of friends who are in my same boat and just so badly desire marriage, but it just has not happened, or even relationships, and they just have not happened for one reason or another. And I know that this is definitely the enemy trying to get under my skin and say, well, look at what you don't have, you know, like you should be super depressed about it. And I got depressed about it, and I didn't want to let myself go too far into that. And maybe it was like hormones and emotions, but there were just nights where I would see that and I would immediately start crying. Or I would see a a new picture of a recent engagement. I have a couple of friends who recently got engaged, and again, I would start happy crying for them, and then it just spiraled into this ugly, like, well, my left hand is empty. Where is the man that will propose to me? I'd see like a new pregnancy picture and I would start crying, first out of like excitement and happiness for that person, but then it would turn into like, I would put my hand over my stomach and be like, I want a baby so bad. I am not gonna cry in this video. I have cried in like the last 3 videos, so we're not doing that today. It has spiraled so badly to where every time I would log on to social media, I would just cry and cry and cry and cry and cry. And I decided, you know what? I can't do this anymore. For one, it's exhausting to cry all the time. And I know that this isn't good. I am so desperately like wanting these things that I'm completely missing what's right in front of me. I am blessed today and right now in the situation that the Lord has put me in today. I will be blessed in the future if and when I have a husband and children and all of these things in the future, but I'm blessed right now. And today is blessed, and that might sound maybe cringy, but that it's true. And I've been trying to cling on to that and just ask the Lord to open my eyes to what blessings are right in front of me that maybe I am taking for granted or I'm not fully appreciating or recognizing. So with that said, I did get off social media. I didn't delete my social like profiles or anything, but I like put up on my story that I would be getting off, and that if anyone wanted to keep in touch with me, like personal friends, then they could reach out to me and we could find a different way to connect. But I got off and it's definitely not been easy. I definitely enjoy my time on social media. I mean, I also follow other, people who are also interested in different hobbies that I'm into, like reading, crocheting, those type of things, those fun side hobbies. And so it's not easy. It hasn't been easy to get off because I enjoy scrolling, okay, but I've noticed that I have become a bit more productive in my everyday life when I would usually pick up my phone and scroll on Instagram. Just the other day, I was waiting to hop on a Zoom call and I would usually go and scroll on my phone until, the other person picked up. But I didn't have Instagram to do that anymore. I was like, what am I gonna do? I'm just sitting here, and I just sat there for like a good 10 minutes and still nothing. And so I was like, you know what? Let me be productive right now. And so I did. I actually wrote my notes for this video and another video. So, I have found other ways to fill my time and either be productive or read more or be in prayer more or journal. So it has been nice to not feel like my emotions are constantly getting thrown in the dryer constantly every day, every time I would log on to social media. So that part has been nice. I do miss it, but I will eventually get back on. Maybe it'll turn into like it being easy for me to stay off and where I won't even have the desire to pick it back up. I don't know, but for now, for like the next couple months, I'm just going to stay off. And I've already noticed what a difference that has made in my mental space just with not having something constantly to compare myself to. So I would definitely recommend if you are going through a similar thing, to get off of social media for a little bit. I would recommend at least a month. I think that is a good amount of time away, and I think a month a lot can happen in a month. You know, even just transformative, and in your faith life, a lot can happen in a month. So just take some time away, of like how it said in Matthew, somewhere in Matthew, if something causes you to sin, if your eye causes you to sin, cut it off or cut it out. If your hand causes you to sin, cut it off. I'm not telling you to do that, but take your comparison sin seriously. And if it's social media that's causing you to compare yourself and be envious of others, or be angry towards others and resent others, then cut it off. Because envy and anger and resentment is obviously not right, and it's clearly marked as a sin, so cut it off. Even if it's just you need to temporarily cut it off, just shut it out. And so that is the step that I took, and we'll see, but I definitely really recommend that. Lastly, I do want to read you a verse. Today's verse is from Galatians chapter 6. It is verse 4 through 5. Let each person examine his own work, and then he can take pride in himself alone and not compare himself with someone else. For each person will have to carry his own load. You have your own load to carry. You have your own circumstances. You have your own blessings in front of you. Don't waste time comparing them to others' circumstances and blessings. Each of us are blessed today and right now in what we have been given to attend to take care of. So take your eyes off of that and ask Lord to open your eyes to what's in front of you and to help you pay closer attention to what's right in front of you, because I think all of us have a lot of our own load to carry. So yeah, don't fall into the trap of comparison. If you recognize that you are falling into it, get out of it now before it's too late. But yeah, get out of it now. Stop before it goes any further, before you let yourself creep even 1 inch more into it. Just get out of it now and trust the Lord, and don't lean onto your own understanding, and trust that He has plans to prosper you, and when the time is right, He'll make things happen. I'm telling myself this as well. I'm going through it at the moment, but with grace, I'll get through it. But anyhow, I hope that this video encouraged you. If you could relate to it, definitely let me know in the comments. If you're struggling with a different type of comparison, also let me know. I think maybe I could do a whole different video on comparison as far as looks go, because while I'm not really struggling with that at the moment, there are definitely times where that's a really big struggle. So if that's something you'd like me to touch on, also let me know so I can get that video prepared, because I feel like that's a whole different topic in itself, and I feel like, I don't know about guys, but at least for girls, I know it's a pretty big thing that we usually compare ourselves to other girls' looks. So anyhow, that's it for today, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.